Ever think back to like the 90s and just how huge NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys were?
Oh, yeah.
Well, today,
Totally.
we are taking a deep dive into the man behind those like iconic boy bands, Lou Perlman.
Lou Perlman.
We got excerpts from his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
And let me tell you,
That's okay.
this story,
All right.
it's way more than just catchy tunes and synchronized dance moves. We're going from like blimps to boy bands.
Wow.
To a massive Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
So
All right.
get ready.
I'm ready.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah, what's fascinating about Lou Perlman is that his early life really foreshadows his later ventures. He was obsessed with his cousin, Art Garfunkel.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You know, of Simon and Garfunkel fame.
Right.
And that definitely sparked his interest in the music industry.
Sure, yeah.
But it's his early business ventures that really kind of paint the picture for us.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
We're talking about the helicopter taxi service.
Yes.
And the blimp businesses.
Exactly.
Right.
These ventures were audacious, no doubt. But they also revealed this pattern of risk-taking and a flexible relationship with the truth.
Yep.
Remember that insurance fraud accusation?
Oh, yeah?
With the first blimp that crashed?
Totally.
And then there's the whole stock manipulation deal with Airship International.
Hold on, stock manipulation.
Yeah.
For our listener,
Well,
can you break down what that actually means?
Sure. In the simplest terms, stock manipulation is when someone artificially inflates or deflates the price of a stock for their own benefit. And it often involves spreading false or misleading information to deceive investors.
Okay.
In Perlman's case,
Yeah.
he was accused of doing just that with Airship International,
Uh-huh.
basically misleading people about the company's value to make a quick profit.
Right.
So even before the boy bands,
Yeah.
we see these early warning signs of a willingness to bend the rules, maybe even break them.
So these weren't just innocent business mishaps.
Right.
This was a pattern of behavior,
Absolutely.
wouldn't you say?
And these tendencies become even more pronounced when he sets his sights on the music industry.
Okay.
Perlman sees the phenomenal success of New Kids on the Block and has this big aha moment.
Yeah.
He decides to replicate that success with a new generation of boy bands.
But wasn't there more to it than just like replicating a formula? Didn't he have a genuine eye for talent?
Yeah.
I mean,
not a great...
the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC were incredibly talented groups.
Perlman definitely had a knack for spotting talent and packaging it for mass appeal.
Okay.
He understood what teenage girls wanted. Those catchy melodies, the synchronized dance moves, the whole boy next door image.
Yeah.
And he knew how to create groups that delivered on that fantasy.
So he creates Transcontinental Records and launches the Backstreet Boys.
Right.
And then he follows it up with NSYNC.
NSYNC.
Yeah.
It's like he had the Midas touch.
Yeah.
At least for a while.
It's incredible he built a whole empire, not just with those two mega groups, but with O-Town, LFO, Take 5 Natural.
Wow.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
He even owned the Church Street Station Entertainment Complex in Orlando.
Really?
He wrote a book.
Wow.
Literally called Bands, Brands, and Billions. It's almost ironic considering what happens later.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
And by interesting, I mean trouble starts brewing.
All right.
Lawsuits start flying in from almost every band he managed.
Yeah.
Even the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Wow.
They accused him of unfair contracts and essentially being cheated out of their earnings.
It's a classic tale of artists versus the greedy manager.
Right.
But in Perlman's case,
Yeah.
it was happening on a massive scale.
Wow.
And it wasn't just about the contracts.
Remember that whole talent scouting scam he was running at the same time?
Right. The Options Talent Group.
Yes.
Didn't they go by like a bunch of different names?
They did.
Okay.
And they were preying on aspiring models and actors, charging hefty fees for services they never intended to deliver.
Oh, wow.
Imagine someone's dream of becoming a star being exploited like that.
That's awful.
It's heartbreaking.
I remember reading about complaints to the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
Lawsuits. Even investigations.
Right.
It's like Perlman was running multiple shady operations under the radar while the boy bands were raking in millions.
That's what makes this story so intriguing.
Yeah.
On the surface, you have this charismatic music mogul living the high life.
Yeah.
But underneath, it's all built on this foundation of deception. And you have to wonder, how long could he keep up this facade?
Well, as we'll see, the answer is not for long.
Oh, gosh, see.
Things are about to unravel in a big way. So we got this successful music mogul living the dream, but like with all these shady dealings bubbling beneath the surface.
Right.
What was the final straw?
Yeah.
What brought the whole house of cards crashing down?
It all unraveled with the discovery of his massive Ponzi scheme.
Oh, wow.
We're not talking about shady contracts anymore.
Okay.
This is full-blown financial fraud.
Right.
On a scale that's almost impossible to grasp.
Okay, for those of us who aren't financial experts,
right.
Can you break down exactly what a Ponzi scheme is?
Absolutely.
And how Perlman pulled it off?
A Ponzi scheme is basically a pyramid scheme.
Okay.
Where you promise investors incredibly high returns. But those returns aren't generated from actual profits.
Right.
Instead, you're using money from new investors to pay off the earlier ones.
Okay.
It's a classic robbing Peter to pay Paul situation.
Yeah.
And it's destined to collapse eventually.
And how did Perlman use this scheme?
Right.
What were the specifics in his case?
Perlman created this elaborate illusion with Transcontinental Airlines and Transcon Records. They were supposed to be these thriving companies,
right?
But they were essentially empty shells.
Wow.
Existing only on paper.
So they weren't real.
He used them to lure investors into this web of lies, promising incredible returns that, of course, never materialized.
And people bought it? How did he convince seasoned investors?
I know, it's crazy to pour millions into these fake companies. He was a master manipulator. We're talking forged documents, fabricated financial statements, even a made-up accounting firm.
No way.
Called Cohen and Siegel.
Wow.
This wasn't just like a spur-of-the-moment scheme. It was meticulously planned and executed over decades.
It's mind-boggling to think about the level of deception involved. And all the while, he's surrounded by these successful boy bands, further cementing this image of a legitimate music mogul.
Right. He used the success of the boy bands as a smokescreen, a way to divert attention from the financial schemes happening behind the scenes. Yeah. And for a while, it worked brilliantly.
But eventually, the truth had to come out.
Of course.
How did it all unravel?
The walls started closing in.
Okay.
When Florida regulators launched an investigation into Perlman's Transcontinental Savings Program, they quickly realized it was a complete sham.
Right.
Millions of dollars were missing.
Wow.
And the trail led straight back to Perlman.
Sensing his imminent downfall, Perlman makes a desperate move.
Yeah.
He disappears.
It was like something out of a movie.
Wow.
He vanishes from Orlando.
Really?
Pops up in Germany.
Oh.
And then there are rumors of him all over the globe.
No way.
Russia.
Wow.
Belarus.
Oh, my God.
Israel. Even Brazil.
Jeez.
He was desperately trying to stay one step ahead of the authorities.
Right.
But the net was closing in.
And the chase finally ends in Bali, Indonesia.
Bali.
It's almost poetic justice, isn't it?
Kind of.
This man who built an empire on deception.
Yeah.
Trying to escape accountability.
Right.
By fleeing to a tropical paradise.
You could say that.
Yeah.
But even after his capture, Perlman's story takes another surprising turn.
Okay.
He's brought back to the U.S., indicted on charges of conspiracy money laundering and filing for bankruptcy under false pretenses.
Right.
But instead of accepting responsibility, he maintains his innocence.
Are you serious?
He even requests a phone and internet connection from prison.
What?
So he can continue promoting bands.
He really thought he could charm his way out of this, didn't he?
It seems that way.
Yeah.
But the judge wasn't buying it.
Right.
In 2008, Perlman was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison.
Wow.
It was a stunning fall from grace.
Yeah.
For the man who once seemed untouchable.
And to add insult to injury, authorities start auctioning off his assets to try and recover some of the stolen money.
Yeah.
And that's when they discover something incredible.
What's that?
Many of his prized possessions.
Okay.
Those famous works of art and memorabilia were actually fakes.
Even in his downfall.
Wow.
Perlman couldn't resist trying to pull one last con.
It's as if the line between reality and illusion had become completely blurred for him.
Totally.
So what about the boy bands?
Yeah.
How did they react to Perlman's downfall?
Right.
And the revelations about his crimes?
It was a mixed bag.
Okay.
Some members, like Brad Fischetti from LFO, continued to defend Perlman, expressing sadness over his arrest and imprisonment.
Wow.
But others, like Rich Cronin, also from LFO, were less forgiving.
Yeah.
Cronin accused Perlman of cheating him out of money, and even made allegations of sexual misconduct.
Those allegations added another layer of complexity to this already tangled story.
Right.
And while they were never officially confirmed, they certainly cast a dark shadow over Perlman's legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They raised questions about whether Perlman's exploitation extended beyond financial schemes and into something far more sinister.
So Perlman is sentenced to 25 years in prison.
Yep.
Did he ever express any remorse for his actions?
Yeah.
Did he ever take responsibility for the pain he caused?
It's tough to say. Perlman never publicly admitted to any wrongdoing, at least not directly.
Okay.
But in 2010, he suffered a stroke while in prison.
Oh, wow.
Followed by a heart valve infection.
Gee.
Underwent surgery. But ultimately died in custody in 2016.
Yeah, a sad end to a tumultuous life.
Yeah.
It leaves us with so many questions about who Lou Perlman really was. Was he a visionary entrepreneur corrupted by greed, or was he a con man from the start?
It's a question that's hard to answer definitively.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that he had a keen eye for talent. Right. Yeah. And a knack for understanding what audiences wanted. He played a significant role in shaping the 90s boy band phenomenon, and his impact on pop culture is undeniable.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
His ambition and drive for success seem to have come at the expense of the artists he managed, the investors he defrauded, and ultimately his own integrity.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Perlman's story serves as a cautionary tale about the allure of fame and fortune and the slippery slope of unchecked ambition.
Right.
It forces us to confront the uncomfortable reality that success, especially in the cutthroat world of the music industry, can sometimes be built on a foundation of exploitation and deception.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners?
Yeah.
What are the takeaways from this deep dive into the world of Lou Perlman?
I think it reminds us that behind the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry, there are real people with real dreams and aspirations. And it's crucial to be aware of the potential for exploitation, to question the motives of those in power, and to advocate for fairness and transparency.
It also makes you think about the music we consume, the artists we idolize, and the stories behind their rise to fame.
Right.
Are we as consumers unwittingly complicit?
It's possible.
Yeah.
In a system that sometimes rewards deception and greed.
Yeah. That's a thought-provoking question.
It is.
And I think it's important to be mindful of where our entertainment comes from.
Yeah.
And to support artists and industry professionals who operate with integrity and respect.
For sure.
Well, after this deep dive.
Yeah.
I know I'll never listen to those 90s boy bands the same way again.
Right.
It's a reminder that there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to dig deeper, to ask questions, and to hold those in power accountable.
So for all of you listening out there, here's something to ponder.
Okay.
What do you think would have happened if Perlman had been caught sooner?
Oh, interesting.
Would those boy bands have achieved the same level of success without him? Or were they just pawns in his elaborate game?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a complex question.
Definitely.
With no easy answers.
And perhaps it's a question best left unanswered.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
The mystery is more intriguing than the solution.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
But the conversation doesn't end here.
Right.
We encourage you to continue exploring the complexities of the music industry and the stories of those who shape it both for better and for worse.
For sure.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.